What's up, YouTube? It's me, the artisanmc, and today I'm going to review The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1, The Apostate. Now, I just, like, minutes, mere minutes ago, finished watching this episode, and I was so happy. I was so fucking happy. You just don't know. I was so happy to have an episode of Mandalorian to watch this week instead of an episode of Bad Batch. I'm beside myself with joy on that, which is kind of sad because I like the Bad Batch show, but y'all have seen it. Seasons, episodes have not been thrilling me. I've been pissed off. So I was very happy to jump back into the Mandalorian first of the month. I got Mando, I got Grogu, I got some familiar faces and some new places. Good, so let's get into it. Watching this episode was good because it had an opening I wasn't expecting. And the opening started with the armorer. The episode started with the armorer. And I got a couple of second looks on how I thought the episode was going, trying to guess it as it was going. Because as it starts, you see the armor building armor, and she's building a headpiece and a helmet and stuff. And I'm thinking she's building this for Grogu. All right. Because that's what I'm thinking of the season is about. When you finish the helmet, she has made this new blue helmet. And, excuse me, she's walking it outside, and outside are a bunch of other Mandalorians with patched armor or what have you. But in front of them, forming this procession, is a small child standing in the water. And initially, I thought this child was Din Djarin, that we were seeing a flashback of how Din Djarin got, inducted into the Death Watch Commandos as a, what do they call it, a foundling, right? Or goes out and has some words said to this child and gives the child the helmet and puts it on him. And he recites the creed and gets to the point of this is the way. You see the heavy gunner there, which is Jon Favreau's character, the descendant of Tar Vizsla, and a lot of other Mandalorians. And all of a sudden, some big ass crocodile turtle looking creature comes out of the water and attacks. And you see all of these Mandalorians springing into action to fight against this creature. Now, you stay with the battle for a while. And once it is to the point that their weapons are having no effect, and the kid is almost eaten when he goes to save the armorer, you see the Silver Naboo fighter come in the screen and swoop in. And that's the point where you know that little boy is Din Djarin. The little boy is not Din Djarin. That Din Djarin and Grogu have just showed up, and they take out the creature. Now, popping in on the armorer and talking to the armorer, there's a little bit of recap dialogue to let you know that Din is kind of on the outs with this group because he revealed that he did take off his helmet. And we need the next story point to let you know what he's going after this season, in case you haven't saw last season. That he needs to purify himself in the waters of Lake Minamando to gain back his standing in that group and cleanse himself of showing his face when he's not supposed to. Now, during this time, he does show the armor artifact or something he has found that a traveler retrieved from Mandalore, from the surface with Mandalorian writing on it. And the armorer tells him that the planet is poisoned, but it is turned to glass or crystal, and it is poison. But if Den wants to go there and bathe in those waters and bring proof, yeah, this is the way. Have fun, you know. And so now we're off to Den going to his next port of call, which is back to Navarro. Now, this was fun for me to see how Navarro has built up in the time that Den helped, bring respectable government to Navarro in the form of Grief Targa, who took over and has now become the High Chancellor, whatever he was called. And it was good to see Carl Weathers again. It is like seeing old friends again when you come into the show. It is like seeing old friends again. And you see that in the center of town, there's a statue erected, and the statue is dedicated to IG-11 for his sacrifice in helping rid the town of the Empire or whatnot, Moff Gideon and his crew. They put a statue up of him, and it's parts of him as well. I don't know how they're still existing, but there's parts of this robot who blew himself up. Weird. But anyway, Grief explains to Mando that there's a lot of money coming through Navarro right now because it is a hub for trade. And it is one of the only hubs that is just not part of the New Republic or anything like that. So he wants to give Mando and Grogu, a little place to live where they can, stop doing the bounty hunting thing and just kick back and make money off residuals. But Mando lets him know that he is actually on a mission, and there are some other things, pressing concerns that he has to get to. Now, while on this planet with Grief, is accosted a bit by some pirates. And the pirates have come to try to push their way into a building that used to be the bar, but is now a school. And Grief comes out to deal with them, letting them know that is not a bar anymore, that it's a school, and that's not the way things are done here anymore. Now, the pirates mentioned that Grief took money or had aid, made a deal with these pirates to be able to set up Navarro the way it is now. And so they're just coming to throw some weight around and be disruptive or whatever. But their disruption ends up in a fight with Grief and Mando. A couple of them get shot dead. One gets to go away and go back to his boss and say what happened, but Grief is just blowing it off like, that shit is old. It'll spread the word that things have changed. Now, the second point of the visit here is Mando has come back to pick up these pieces of IG-11 because he needs to go to Mandalore. He wants a droid he can trust for what? I don't know yet. I don't think it was explained. And IG-11 is the droid that he trusts. So he wants the pieces of IG-11 and wants them put back together. Now, this sounds like a dumb idea to me. For one, I didn't think there was any pieces left when he blew himself up. But even if there were, his circuit boards or some other shit is burnt up. It is not like just, starting a blender. It's not like that. It's a little bit more nuanced in it. But what you see is Grief acquiesces to Mando, gives him IG-11's part, and Mando repairs those parts, restores power and all the rest of that. And when IG-11 wakes up, it is back to his base programming, his last orders, which I'm sitting there thinking, like, he's just going to remember the last thing he did. And the last thing he did was he's supposed to terminate Grogu. So the thing starts going after Grogu, like in Terminator. in Terminator 2 when he didn't have any legs, or Terminator 1 where the Terminator had no legs, he's just crawling around on the floor after things. Now, the part about this that seems stupid is that at this close range, Mando can't hit shit with his blaster. Even though a minute ago, we saw him out in the street gun down 4 men from further distance without a problem. Okay, I'm not buying that shit. But it gets to the understanding that IG-11 is beyond Mando's skills to repair, and he needs a finer touch, if you put it that way. Enter in the next, pointless fucking creature into this shit. I forget the race of Anzels or something like that. But Grief has Mando bring the IG-11 parts to these little Babu freak creatures, and we get a little scene of them talking about how IG-11 can't be fixed, it's broken, it's poodoo, buy a new droid, and Mando working out a deal that he will find the part necessary for this droid to run, and they'll fix it for him if he comes back with the part. So now we're out of that scene, thankfully. And on to Mando going to his next portal call, which I believe is him trying to find the part. But what it ends up being is that once he is outside of the Navarro system, he is set upon by the same pirates that he just gunned down. This time they came back with, 6 more people or 5 more people. And they're ready to sacrifice them up too. So, space fight ensues. Now, the space flying fight was okay. It was pretty good. I liked it. I was really liking the way the Naboo fighter looked. And then still really missing the Razor Crest. I still miss the Razor Crest. I really do want a model of the Razor Crest so I can build that, because I thought that was a really interesting design for a ship. Pretty cool. And I hated seeing it get blown the fuck up. Now, after this little skirmish firefight is done, you see the planet that Mando was going to. And I missed the name of the planet, but on this planet there is a Mandalorian castle. And he lands at this castle and goes inside, and the person that's inside of this castle is Bo-Katan. Now, this was interesting. I kind of called that this was her. But what you find out is that all the gains she made with taking down Moff Gideon and whatnot meant nothing to her forces when she returned back with ships and all the rest of that stuff, and no Darksaber. Her forces left her. I guess they saw her as not the one true king. So she's sitting there on her chair, legs akimbo, kind of pissy. Right? And Mando tells her about his plan to go back to Mandalore, and bathe in the waters of Lake Minamando. She tells him how stupid, but you get the understanding that if Din wants an army, he has one if he goes and shows them the Darksaber. Since Bo-Katan doesn't have the Darksaber, she cannot command that army. They will not follow her. Somebody else holds the saber. And it shows how locked in doxy some Mandalorians are. Because while Bo-Katan is giving Din shit about joining the Death Watch Commandos, the group that's following her left her because she didn't have a sword. That seems pretty silly too. So while she wants to place the blame on Din's group for the split in Mandalorian culture, at base, they still do the same shit. They just follow for no fucking reason at all. Pretty much. So, since she has no aid to offer Mando, Mando leaves. Okay. And that was the end of the episode. It's late. And that was the end of the episode. Him leaving and going on his next quest because he tells her that he is going to go to Mandalore and it's not poisoned. And that is the episode. And when you end this episode, you find that this episode was directed and executive produced by Rick Fujiyama. And Rick Fujiyama was on season 1 and season 2. He was there with Deborah Chow and Dallas Bryce Howard as one of those directors that's really good. It's a brother. He's good. And this episode was good because it had points of humor, it had action, it had a lot of stuff. I really think that he's actually in the episode as well as the pirate captain Shard. Right? I think that was him in that. That's why that costume looks, I don't know, fucking ridiculous. He looked like he got plastic streamers hanging off a gorilla's face. I don't know. But I think that was him in there. I missed it in the credits. I like seeing him come back and direct this episode. I hope some other people that I like that have done other episodes of The Mandalorian come back and do more episodes of this season because it promises to be good. Even Deborah Chow. I don't know what the hell happened on Obi-Wan. I really don't care, but I'm giving her a little bit of grace because that was, a Kathleen Kennedy vehicle. So I'm not blaming it completely on Deborah Chow because the stuff that she did on Mandalorian I liked. So I'm not understanding the disconnect with that, Obi-Wan series, so to speak. So the other thing that was important in this were there were 2 drops in there that I caught that were significant. The first one is in going to Navarro. While Din and Grogu are in hyperspace heading to Navarro, Din is asleep in the cockpit and Grogu was back in the little bubble top. And he's sitting there looking in the hyperspace channel and he sees hyperspace whales. Now that made me kind of excited because I haven't watched the rest of Clone Wars and I never watched Rebels. But I know that there is a big deal with these hyperspace whales and Ezra Bridger. The fact that Grogu sees these hyperspace whales and Din doesn't is significant that is the lead-in for how you can get Ezra Bridger into season 3, season 4. That they have to show up because they showed the whales. It's like I've told you guys before, with stuff in movies and television. Act 1, we're going to show you the gun. Act 2, maybe the gun is missing or in somebody's hand. Act 3, the gun has to go off. Okay? So this is Act 1. Act 1 is showing you there was something in these hyperspace corridors that look like big creatures. And if you're a Star Wars fan, you automatically know what they are. They're the hyperspace whales. But that gets you to making the connection to Ezra Bridger or Thrawn. Where is he supposed to be, right? So I was happy to see that. The other drop was after Mando and Greef take down the pirates in the square in Navarro. Greef offers Mando a job as marshal. And Mando asked him, well, what about Marshal Dune? What happened to Marshal Dune? And how they wrote it into the story is that Marshal Dune, after taking down Moff Gideon, was offered some special forces or something like that assignment, and she took it. And that's why she's not there on Navarro being the marshal. Now, I kind of like that. That lets you know that she's out there, doing some Ranger shit in the New Republic, right? But since that show never came off, or is now being retooled to come out differently, that would have been a lead-in for watching Rangers of the New Republic to see what Cara Dune was doing. But in the real world, you know that during this time, KK fired Gina Carano and wanted to recast Cara Dune. Didn't go down that way. Cara Dune's supposed to be returning. Gina Carano's supposed to return. We'll see what happens if she makes it into this episode, into this season, which I don't think she is. I think she doesn't show back up again until season 4. But it's a good nod to throw in there that this character is just not forgotten. that if you're doing the meet and greet and refamiliarizing yourself with all these characters that's in this world, all your friendly characters, that you know the one that you don't see is still out there in memory. The place is still being held. So that was some decent writing in the sense to put that in there so it's actually known, it's stated and it's known, so you don't have to worry about it going forward. So for me, on the whole, I enjoyed this episode. I was really amped up to see it. I stayed up late to see it. I'm happy with what I saw. I look forward to episode 2 and thank the unholy trinity that I didn't have to watch another Bad Batch episode of regurgitation by numbers. For real. But that's it. That's my review. Maybe a little spoilery. I don't care. It's a half-hour episode. You can go back and watch it. Everybody else will be talking about it. But I'm happy to see this. So this is the start of the episodic reviews for Mandalorian because I will be watching that every week religiously. So that's it. Like, share, subscribe, support the stream if you feel so inclined. I've been artisanmc, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.